Muy buenas tardes, mi gente. Aquí con ustedes la comadre B con otro episodio de Comadreando aquí y con café. Today is February 16, 2024. Saludos like always to my mom. Hi mom. And to all my regulars. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching me again. If you guys are new to my channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. I got weekly uploads of interesting topics, I guess. If you rather listen and watch, I am also on Spotify. You can find me under Comadreando by La Comadre B. Today is day 4 of Not So Loving Valentines. Please take this moment as a warning, a trigger warning as you will, because the details obviously are going to be fast, ugly. So you've been warned. So with that being said, let's get into it. We're gonna go back, guys. Back into time. The year is 1982. We are in Williams, Arizona, and the actual date is February 14th, 1982, just to be exact. So this story starts with a deputy of safety officer, como un policía, and he's driving on the 40 freeway, highway, interstate, however you want to refer to it. So he's driving, and he's actually going westbound on the 40 freeway, interstate, the 40. He had just got dispatched that there was a driver whose tire flew off. So he was in distress y ocupaba ayuda. So ahí va el officer driving on the interstate looking for this tire that spun out and is obviously somewhere, and this driver ahead needs his tire. So that is what he is doing. He is looking for a tire. Now, this is 11 miles away from Williams, pero considering we're in the middle of the highway, we'll say we're in Williams. Alright, so this officer comes up to this area where there is obviously shoulder, there's a few trees, a lot of grass, that kind of stuff. It is marker 151 where this grassy area is. He starts making his way off to the side to park and get off and look at this area, right? So he does so. Ahí va. He's walking around. Like I mentioned, it is February 14th, so it is in the middle of winter. There's still snow left over. They had snow a couple days back. He looks to the farther tree. These are cedar trees in this area. And he caught a glimpse of what he thought was a body. So empieza, his mind like, is it or not, So he starts approaching this tree where this body is, and OMG, it was indeed a body that he found. So obviously the shock of excitement and, surprise at the same time, he's sitting here looking at this body. It is of a woman. She is upside down on the floor, partly dressed. She's wearing blue jeans. Right away he noticed she has no shoes or socks on. And one particular little detail was kind of weird to him. The back of her pants, the loop belt in the back was torn off, like up. So he was like, that is so strange. Anyways, he continued to see the area. She had a red and white sweater, a white bra, and a handkerchief laid out, near her. Ahí todo el scene aquí. So he noticed that the bra strap as well had been cut. So he thought that was kind of odd, you know. He continues to get this body to flip it over. He's sitting here investigating this whole area, right? So, yeah, he rolls her over, and wow, what a sight he saw. This woman was in bad shape. She was in full decomposition, like big time. Her face, her head, her neck was being attacked by other insects. The top of her right ear was completely like gone. You could tell wildlife got to her. So yeah, she was in horrible shape. He called it in, obviously. Hey, I got a dead body here. So the deputies were called. They showed up, the crime scene, the coroners, everybody showed up. Obviously, they took the body in. And a couple of days later, it was determined that this woman, her cause of death was suffocation. They did the whole run through on the body. There was no other injuries that suggested anything else. They came to a conclusion que la ahogaron. They suffocated her. There was no signs of sexual assault, which was kind of weird considering how they found her partly dressed. So that was a So yeah, now they have this Jane Doe. Now comes the challenging part, guys, to see who she is and who did this to her. So the report said she was in her late teens, early 20s. She was about 5'5" and weighed in between 120 to 125 pounds. They could tell that she was either a blonde or a strawberry blonde. Obviously, her body was there for a while, so they weren't able to determine exact color of hair. But one specific detail that was really weird was that her adult teeth, molars, hadn't erupted yet. So now the coroner is thinking maybe she is younger, in her late teens like we thought. She also had one detail that was on the bottom right side of her mouth. One of her back teeth, her tooth, had been drilled professionally by a dentist approximately a week before, which looked to be in preparation to either do a root canal or a type of filling, something of that sort. So, yeah, this body is just, I don't know, interesting. She had scars on her left foot, and she had another scar on the back of her right lower thigh. So those were some of her identifying marks. She also had moles on her chest. There was one on her right side, top of the breast area. So yeah, all this was going down as description of what this Jane Doe looked like. Looking at both her ears, with the piece that was still intact, they can tell she had holes, so she obviously wore earrings. Another strange find was that specific tooth that had been drilled had aspirin residue in it. So they thought that was very strange. Why would she have that there? Who knows? Alright, so near that area where they found her, that marker 151, a little bit down the road, there was a small truck stop called the Monte Carlo truck stop. The investigators, detectives, however you want to refer to them, decided to go over there, stop off, and, start asking questions there. Maybe they had seen her there. So they make their way out there to the Monte Carlo truck stop. Right when they walked in, were they in luck? They came up on the key witness. Turns out this small truck stop is family owned, and they have a small diner counter where obviously they serve food. Now, the waitress there, her name is Patty Wilkins. And she is the daughter of the owners of this truck stop. Turns out she was working that morning when this Jane Doe showed up to the truck stop, which what seemed to her was with a way older man. The detective showed her pictures of the clothes. She was positive that she had seen a woman wearing that clothes a couple weeks back. So she was on it. She remembered full details. She knew exactly who it was. So she started telling the detectives everything she knew about this. So she says she was working in the diner, and all of a sudden at 2 in the morning, a couple walks in the restaurant, and it is an older man and a really young muchacha. So she said she thought to herself that was really strange because number one, it's 2 in the morning, and number two, their age difference is very, very far apart. So she says they had a seat and she went and waited on them. That the man went ahead and ordered a coffee and a full breakfast, and the muchacha, all she ordered was water. She told Patty, I have a toothache. I can't eat. Okay, Patty put in the order. She went in the back to see what she had, maybe to help her with the pain of her tooth, and all she had was baby aspirin. So she crushed it up, went back to the table, and told the muchacha, I have aspirin. You want to put some on your tooth so maybe it can help with the pain. The girl said, okay, whatever. I guess she went to the back because at this point is when Patty took the opportunity to ask the girl if she was okay. She, like I said, thought it was very odd to see her so young with an old man at 2 in the morning. So, she says that every time she sees something kind of odd like that, she kind of intervenes to make sure everybody is okay and nobody gets hurt. So she asked the girl the same thing, are you okay with the guy you're with? Is everything all right? Are you doing good? And she said, yeah, no, I'm good. So the lady told her, if you are in any trouble, you're welcome to stay here, at the truck stop. There's no problem, this and that. The muchacha again told her, I'm fine, I'm good with him. We're leaving, whatever. And, that was the end of that. She had finished putting the aspirin on her tooth. I believe, or I assume, she went back to her table. They finished up breakfast time, this and that, and the couple was on their way. Patty says she remembers her, not only because obviously the aspirin and the whole age difference and everything, but because she was just so pretty and had a really peaceful vibe to her, always smiling, a happy girl. She says that after, she went over there and she seen them, she saw how comfortable this girl was with the man, so then she assumed maybe it's a family member, an uncle, su papa, a grandpa, I don't know. She seems really comfortable with them, so that was the end of that thought that something was off. She says the man was in his early 50s, about 5'8" to 5'10" inches tall, medium built. So she went on to describe what he was wearing, and he was wearing a two-tone checkered leather vest with a black felt cowboy hat. It had a feather in it, which she thought was kind of peculiar porque tenía un feather de un peacock. She went ahead and confirmed that the girl was very young. So yes, that whole late teens, spot on. She gave the detectives a whole description of face for what she can remember, and they came up on a composite sketch, which they did on flyers, this and that. They started passing them out. They wanted to know what this Jane Doe's name was. After Patty's entire testimony, her written statement, everything that happened with her, the whole coroner put two and two together. They came to a conclusion that yes, this girl was murdered and dumped literally right after she left that diner. Remember I mentioned that residue of that aspirin in her tooth? It was still in there. Therefore, right when she came out of that truck stop, la mataron y la tiraron. The Coconino Sheriff's Department decided to name her Valentine Sally. They thought since she was so young, and instead of just making her another Jane Doe, that's what they were gonna call her, Valentine Sally. After all these flyers had been circulating, there was one witness that came forward. Era un muchacho, a student at the Northern Arizona University. He spoke to the detective and he said, I believe I gave a woman that matches your description a ride a couple of weeks back. It was February 2nd, to be exact. And he said he had picked her up near Cordes Lakes. He said that this girl was obviously hitchhiking, that she told him she was coming from Phoenix, where she had been staying with friends, that she was a dishwasher at some restaurant, but that her plan was to make it to a truck stop in Flagstaff, Arizona, to hitchhike a ride with a truck driver because she was trying to get back to New Jersey. She told him that that's where she was from and that they were having family problems over there, so she was trying to make her way back over there. So now we have a clue. At least we know she's from New Jersey. You never know, right? She said she was going over there. Quien sabe? With this information, detectives went to Phoenix and started hitting up all the little dentist office they could find, trying to track down if anybody had done such procedure that never finished, this and that, blah, blah, blah. No clues, dead ends, nada. No encontraron a nadie. Again, they're back to nothing. During this time, all these people are following this case, right? And they're like, what the heck is going on? Who might have killed Valentine Sally? This and that, blah, blah, blah. Pues en ese tiempo, there was a murderer that had recently got caught that was known to murder women and was a truck driver with a hat and would travel that specific stretch of the interstate. His name was Royal Russell Long. Now, September of that previous year, so it would be 1981, he had killed 2 women that he got arrested for. He had 2 life sentences in regards to that. A third, he tried to obviously do the same, but she got away. So, it was like he was busted for all of that. Being in prison, this and that, he never admitted to anything else. You know how that goes. No proof, I didn't do anything. All he was admitting to were the 2 women that he did get caught for. Una se llamaba Cinda Pallet y la otra se llamaba Charlotte Kenzie. So there you go. This man ended up dying of a heart attack in his cell in 1993. He was 58 at that time, so they started, with the theories. If he would have been the one to have killed Valentine Sally back then, the age wouldn't have matched. That would have made him 46. So no, the waitress Patty had said in his early 50s, right? So no, cold case again. He was super busy though in the Midwest, Oklahoma and Wyoming, and yeah, like I said, a lot of disappearances and obviously murders were pinned on him because they were never able to find none of these women. Valentine Sally was laid to rest. Patty paid for her headstone. It was blank. She didn't want to put Valentine Sally on it. She had no name for her, but she did bury her. She did put her down at least with a little bit of love and respect. At least she got that. Poor girl. A couple of years later, now it is 1984, there was a huge crack in the case. The same detective that had been working the Valentine Sally case from the beginning came up on a missing persons report. A lot of the details were similar, so he thought possibly this is it. The detective's name was Jack Judd. So he jumped on this missing person poster, started looking into it. Turns out it was a missing girl out of Florida. She had been missing since 1980. Her name was Melody Eugenia Cutlip. She was out of Instachata, Florida, and had been missing since 1980. So the dates were really close, considering they found Valentine Sally dead in 1982, February of 1982. Who knows how long she had been missing or gone, or, whatever it is her case was. So they decided to start looking deeper into details. Un forensic odontologist from Albuquerque, New Mexico. His name was Homer Campbell. Now, he made a positive ID through teeth. He said he considered himself que un professional, que sabe que. He compared the teeth of this new missing person's picture with the teeth we had of Valentine Sally. He made a positive match, therefore, case is closed. We found our mystery girl. Everything else matched. They were about similar built, similar age, similar weight, same blonde hair. It had to be, right? It had to be. That's it. We found our Valentine Sally. This is her name. They went with the date as well, missing 1980. If this would have been Valentine Sally, it made her to be 16 years old. So they were very confident that they were on the money with this one. Detective Judd found, he tracked down Melody's mom. He actually flew to Florida, showed her pictures of Melody, Valentine Sally, and, told her, we have your daughter, blah, blah, blah. Melody's mom said, no, that is not my daughter. I am not accepting what you guys are telling me. You got the wrong girl. That is not my daughter. She's never had anything done to her mouth with a dentist. I'm sorry, but that is not, no es mi hija. She's not mine. Well, the Coconino Sheriff's Department wanted this case closed so bad, they went ahead and put Melody's name on Valentine Sally blank headstone. Why did they do this? They wanted the case closed. Well, guys, surprise, surprise, surprise. ¿Qué creen que pasó? 1986, they find the real Melanie. They find her. She popped out. Turns out she was living the adult life. At this point, she's 18 years old. She has 2 children of her own, and she had been living in Jacksonville, Florida all this time. Yeah, she forgot to tell her mom, I'll be back. She was engaged. Turns out she had went to Louisiana, made her way back, had been working here and there. At this time, she was working at the mall when they found her. Obviously, investigators went and spoke to her, asked her where has she been. She gave them the whole breakdown. Estoy bien. I just didn't want to be home at that time. I was too grown for that stuff. I decided to make crafts as I was paying my way to, hot border to border. And that is what I have been doing. I'm a woman. I have 2 children. I have a home of my own. I am engaged to get married soon. Todo está bien. Sorry. They tell her, we thought you were dead, this and this. Oh, no, that's not me. You see me. I am right here. Well, now the Coconino Sheriff's is back to nada. Who is Valentine Sally? It is not Melanie. It is not. Melody ended up passing away at the age of 32. She died September 11th, 1998. She was driving in a rainstorm when an oncoming car hit her and she passed away. So, yeah, that was obviously very devastating to the family, especially her mother. She had thought she lost her, and then she really lost her for real. So, during this time, Melody's mother was contacting the Coconino sheriffs to please remove her daughter's name from that other tomb, the marker. Please take her name off. Respect her. She has passed 4 rows this time. We don't need her name on 2 tombstones. Please remove it. Okay, going back to the big mistake of 1986. They went and dug up Valentine Sally a couple months after. It had now turned to 1987. And they were trying to extract DNA from her. Tecnología nueva. A ver if they can suck something out. They can hold in her file. They're still trying to work this case to still identify her. Once they did, they were able to get this DNA off of her. They were able to enter it into a lot of databases. Para ver quién es. The index system was really good, and so was the CODIS. So that's where they went, and they're just looking and waiting and hoping, praying, fingers crossed, come on, something come up. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children came up with 2 faces that can possibly match this DNA. They had what they believe a more exact, descriptive picture of what Valentine Sally looked like. They even had help from a forensic artist. His name was Carl Cobbleton. He was able to make up another composite with the CT scans that they performed on Valentine Sally. So all these images were now shared via internet. Now we had internet. So hopefully algo sale. Still nothing, still nothing. Now we forward to 2005. The Valentine Sally case was still cold, so the Coconino sheriffs decided to assign this specific case to a now new department. They're called the Cold Case Squad, and it is exactly what it sounds like. A group of people that are dedicated to solving cold cases. All these people have very impressive backgrounds in law enforcement, so these guys know what they're doing. They know what they're looking for, so they were sure this is gonna solve this case. There's a new procedure with technology that they're using to catch killers' victims, see who these people are. This process is now called genetic genealogy. It even sounds intimidating, right? They entered her DNA to this database, right? Now, this database is public. A lot of people use it to track down their family trees, this and that, see where they come from, track down family and relatives. Now, ¿qué creen que pasó? There was a match, guys. There was a freaking match. This match goes back to a family out in St. Louis, Missouri. Yes, they are onto something, finally. So this specific DNA database shows that that specific family has a large amount of females in that family. Related, primas, tías, this and that, blah, 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 sisters, a lot of them. Every one of these women were accounted for, except one. Now, if we go back to that muchacho witness over in Arizona that gave her a ride, she told him she was going to New Jersey for family issues. Where was this girl really trying to go? Was she really trying to go home? Did she just tell him she's going to New Jersey? Why would she throw New Jersey out there? Was she tired of living out here on the West Coast? Like, what was the point of that? What really happened? What was behind that? So now it's like the question, what the heck was this 16-year-old kid from St. Louis, Missouri doing all the way in Arizona? How did she get there to begin with? Did she hitchhike over there? Okay, we're going back into the 80s. There was no Snapchat, there was no Instagram, Facebook, Messenger. There is none of that. So if you knew somebody, you go meet somebody. When you tell them you're going to meet somebody, you know what I mean? You don't just randomly, hey, I'm going to go over there. I'll see you there. Like, how did she end up on this side? What was she thinking? What was she doing? Like, how? Like, it just baffles my brain. because she was a 16-year-old child. What the heck is she doing so many miles away? So they're still looking into, accounting everybody, this and that. The specific girl missing, 1979 was the last of any records that show her. It's like she fell off the face of the earth. No hay nada de ella. Nada. Nada. And before that, she had a little rap sheet. She was a known runaway. So this made these cold case squad happy because they were absolutely sure now that it was this girl, a runaway, She had other little things on her record that obviously never cleared, but at least now they know who they are onto. They got a hold of the family. And yes, indeed, they were missing somebody. When the detective Judd called and said, hey, this and this and that, right away, the person that answered, they said, is this about Carolyn? Now we have a name, guys. Her name is Carolyn. Judd, the team flew out there to St. Louis. They did more DNA testing just to make super sure that they are correct. Turns out Carolyn had 5 more sisters. It was 6 in total. It was her. Everything matched. Everything matched perfectly. Carolyn was the missing girl out of St. Louis, Valentine Sally. Her actual name was Carolyn Celeste Ethan. Born October 1st, 1964. If we do our calculations, she had literally just turned 17 years old that October before they murdered her. She was still a baby. That's why her molars hadn't came out, her wisdom teeth. How would they if she was little? Era una niña. Her parents were Donald Ethan and Ella Ethan. This news was huge. They publicized it everywhere, all over every single media they can find. On February 22nd, 2021. That's when everything was official. Just recently, guys. Just recently. So they've got some of the story. Turns out Carolyn's mother was doing the single mother thing because Mr. Donald had passed away in 1978. So I don't know. Maybe these girls were running all over their mom. Maybe it was just Carolyn with all her background. She was just a little troublemaker. She decided to split. So they go back to the event. It was around Christmas of 1981. The family got home and found Carolyn there at her house with 2 men. They didn't say how old they were, but obviously they were older than her, so they referred to them as men. La mamá, imagine yourself finding your freaking kid with 2 men in your house. Lost her shit. They started arguing. All kinds of drama broke off. The sisters are just watching. Carolyn ended up leaving. She threw the peace sign as she's walking out the door and she says, later, I'm out of here. She left to sadly never return, guys. That was it. That was the end. Imagine the pain of her mother knowing that that was the very last time she saw her kid and it was a freaking argument like that. That is so heartbreaking, so sad. And then worst is that Ella never even knew what happened to Carolyn because she passed away. Se murió en 1997 y sin saber qué le pasó a su hija, qué fue de su hija. Imagine what a horrible feeling to carry with you all those years. So now, they put all these details together and obviously, yeah, she ran away, but this time she made a boo-boo. She ran away way too far. So chances are she got homesick and she was trying to come back home. It had already been, 2 months since working as a dishwasher and hitchhiking. That's not the life, so I'm pretty sure she wanted to go home. Patty, the waitress, was notified that they had finally gave her name. They said, this is Caroline Celeste Ethan. And Patty was really excited about it, you know. She said, all these years, it's only been me and her. I am so glad that they found who she really is. They gave her her name back. She was, you know, I am so glad that pretty girl that I gave that aspirin to 40 years ago finally can be at peace. That's it. Yeah, we know who she is. We know where she comes from. She says she has a family now. It's been like she's been one of my kids, but you know, it's time for her to go. It's gonna hurt me. I want to cry, but it can't get any better than this. She said, you've got a home. I am no longer in charge of you. I love you, and I'm glad you're going home. All this is what Patty said, you know. Imagine the emotions she was going through. They found who she was, but it's still a cold case. They never found out who did it. Like I said, it's been over 40 years now. They don't know. They don't know who it was. Could it have been Russell, the truck driver? They don't know. The murder investigation is still going on. ¿Quién sabe quién la mató? So now the question is, and nobody will know besides Carolyn, what happened that morning after she left that diner? There was no signs of sexual assault, pero she was missing clothes. Did she tell him no and he suffocated her? Were they in his truck? Was it the truck driver? Did he suffocate her with the pillow back there? What happened? What happened? You know, this is horrible in every aspect of the way, because if he's an older man, medium built, taller, and this is a 5'5" girl weighing 120, she was tiny. He overpowered her in a second. Please speak to your kids about the dangers of running away, the dangers of trying to hit the streets. You know, I myself have a little stubborn troublemaker. I can't put her no other way. She has a very strong character, and disciplining her is working its own. Like, wow. No me doy abasto. You know, these kids think, oh, because I can't have my way, me voy. It doesn't work that way. Everybody knows, guys. El muerto y el arrimado a los 3 días apestan. That's it. That's it. There's nothing out there for you. In most of all cases, nobody's gonna love you more than your family. Please stress to them, guys, the dangers. Look at 40 years later, and we still can't determine who murdered this child. 17 years old, you're a child. Who killed her? Eso les tengo, raza, el día de hoy. Carolyn, Celeste, Ethan, may you please rest in peace. I know you didn't deserve any of what happened to you, but I'm glad you went home. Have a beautiful day, raza. Los adoro.